Made a mistake again. Hey, I'll have to do that one again. That's 3 times I've done that now, made a mistake, aye. I'll have to start again, that's no good, that. Oh dear. I'm trying for it right. Things about Jesus. Things that I remember before I forget about Jesus, you know. I've made the same mistake 3 times now. It reminds me of the time when I made a mistake once before. Aye. It was when Jesus had been arrested and I followed him, and 3 times I said that I didn't know Jesus when people asked me, did I know who he was? And I said, oh no, not me. And somebody said, well, your accent gives you away. And I said, oh no, not me. And a cockerel crowed, and yeah, well, Jesus died on the cross, and it were a sad day. But best day was yet for to come, because 3 days later, Mary and a few other people went down to where the grave was, where they'd buried Jesus, with a big stone in front of it, and the tomb was empty. And we realised that he were alive. We're like, wow, you're alive! But we didn't just know it because grave tomb were empty. We actually saw him on one occasion. I think it was probably the best occasion ever. We'd gone back up north from Jerusalem, and we'd gone back to our old habits. Not doing things wrong, but fishing. We needed a bit of fish. And again, we'd been fishing all night long, and we'd caught out. Anyway, sun was coming up, and it were getting towards morning. And we looked across out at boat, and we saw somebody stood up shoreline. And he kind of shouts, he says, have you caught out? We says, no. He says, chuck your net up to the side. So we chucked it up to the side. It's like, whoa! And then all of a sudden, somebody shouts, hey, you know who that is, don't you? I was too busy working. I was like stripped off, just you're ready to doing all kinds of, you know, fishing's a smelly business. You get wet and smelly, and you take your clothes off and you cover yourself with a bit of a cloth, like, but I was all mucky and messy, and I was all too busy with fish, and someone shouted, he said, it's Jesus on shoreline. Jesus, I said. I looks up, and there he was. Well, I just wrapped cloth round my waist and I jumps in. I couldn't wait to get to the shoreline. I was going along, and Jesus is there. Come on, come on. He says, I've got a fire ready down here, and he'd already got fish cooking on it. Rest of us pulled boats up, and we sat down and we had fish for breakfast. Have you ever heard such a thing? Fish for breakfast, eh? And then Jesus, at one point, he says, I want a word with you, Peter. I thought, hey up. He's gonna remind me of what I did wrong. And he says to me, he says, Peter, do you love me? I said, I love you. Of course I love you, Jesus. He says, take care of me lambs. Strange thing for to say. And he says, Peter, do you love me? I thought, he's asked me already. I said, of course I do, Jesus. I do love you. He says, feed me sheep. Feed me sheep? And then he says to me, Peter, do you love me? I was getting a bit thinking, has he not heard me answer? I said, of course I love you, Jesus. He says, take care of me sheep then. I didn't quite know what he meant when he said those words back then. I know now. He wants me to look after people, for care for ordinary people, and love ordinary people just as he did. Just as he cared for all them people that he healed, like my mother-in-law and that. And you know what? when I thought about it afterwards, I thought, there were 3 times I said, I don't know you, Jesus. And then he says to me 3 times, do I love him? And it's like as if each one of them is like, bing, that's cancelled, and that's cancelled. And I really felt great that day. Not long after that, like, Jesus took us up this hillside and he said, I want to give you some final words before I leave. I want you to stick together and stay together. And soon I'm going to send a special helper to you. My Holy Spirit. And then he went. It wasn't a sad day like the day he were killed. It was a happy day, and we saw him go up slowly. Up, 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 up. Through the clouds. Gone. And we stood there for ages kind of looking like, thinking, was that it then? Is he gone? And we heard this voice. It says, Men of Galilee, what are you doing looking up? He said, this Jesus you've just seen go up into heaven like that, one day you'll see him come back down the same way. We said, right, that's it then. We went back into Jerusalem. Back into that room where we'd shared Last Supper together. And we sat there and we waited. 10 days later, that's when the Holy Spirit came. And I stood up that day. And I told loads of people all about Jesus. Told them what great things that Jesus had done. I couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my mouth. It was so great that the Holy Spirit had made me go and tell everybody about what was going on. 3,000 people started to follow Jesus that day. I remembered back to the first day I met Jesus, when he says to me, he says, Peter, Simon Peter, you're a rock. I want you to become a fisher of men. I want you to go and fish for men, for me. Be a fisher of men. Who would have thought it? An ordinary bloke like me from Galilee. The only thing he could do well were fish. Can't write very well at the moment. Being a fisher of men for Jesus, who was the Son of God. Being a fisher of men.